Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I hope you are having a fantastic day. Welcome to my backyard. In today's video, I am going to be showing you how to design another floral arrangement. In this video, I am going to do more of a instructional style, so explaining what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, hopefully giving you some tips and tricks that you can put in your back pocket, so that when you are designing your own floral arrangements, you can hopefully do it in a way to make the arrangement as beautiful and impactful as possible, and more importantly, helping your arrangements last longer. There are some things that you can definitely do to help your arrangements last more than just a few days. So this definitely requires a little bit of extra work, but it is not outrageous, and I think the payoff is definitely worth it. So today's video is a little bit different from the last one, but hopefully this is more helpful to those of you who are more auditory learners versus visual learners. I will insert a clip here that tells you what some of these different blooms here are. These are the flowers we're going to be using today. I am making more than just one arrangement, so you don't need this many flowers for just one floral arrangement. But I would recommend, if you are doing your own designs at home, that you purchase your different flowers that you're interested in putting in your arrangement in odd numbers. So either do an arrangement that has just one type of flower, or create an arrangement that has 3 different types of flowers or greenery or texture, or 5. I personally really like designing in odd numbers. There's a lot of design principles that are out there when it comes to designing with flowers. I don't always follow most of those design principles, but I do think that arrangements really do look their best when you design in odd numbers. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into today's video. As always, let me know if you have any questions at all. I'll try to get back to you down in the comments as quickly as possible. I appreciate you guys being here, and let's get into it. For the floral arrangement that I am going to be showing you guys today, I am using Floral Oasis. You don't have to use a Floral Oasis to design with. You can use chicken wire, you can use tape, and some vessels don't require any type of, like, I don't know, I want to say the word armature, but basically mechanics to hold the blooms in place. So for this particular vessel, it is just going to be easiest for me to design in floral foam. The one thing that you want to know about this stuff is that you never want to push down on it while it is in the process of absorbing the water. If you do that, there is a chance that you are going to create air pockets, which are basically just dry foam inside of the block. And if you are inserting stems into those dry pockets, your flowers are obviously not going to drink. It really doesn't take long. As you can see, it's happening right in front of your eyes here. As you can see, it does not take long after you put the Oasis in water for it to fully submerge. I like to give it just about 5 minutes. I will usually do this, walk away, prep some other things, and then come back and then begin working with it. I prefer the black Floral Oasis because I think it actually looks more invisible in the container than green Floral Oasis, which is probably what you are used to seeing at craft stores. We obviously purchased this in bulk at the market. I think you can get it on Amazon as well. I will always try to link things in the description box if they are available and if I think they're going to be useful for the particular design that I am showing you guys. But yeah, Also, one thing I want to note is that I did add just about a tablespoon of bleach to this container as it was filling up. That little tiny bit of bleach is going to help to control any potential bacteria growth that can happen over the week-long life of this particular arrangement. So this is one of my weekly deliveries. This client receives their weekly orders every single Monday. So usually, if you are designing with Floral Oasis, you should be able to easily get a week out of those arrangements. But I always like to make sure to prevent any potential bacterial growth with just that little bit of bleach. It does not hurt the flowers, but you also don't want to use a ton. Like a tablespoon is all that you are going to need for a container of this size, for example. So yeah, anyway, that's a little bit about Floral Oasis. I think the biggest rule, besides not, going in and out when you're designing, is to just not push this stuff down as it is absorbing the water. Just let it do its thing. It is now actually completely ready to use, but I have some other things to get ready. So I'm just going to leave this soaking here, and then I will show you how I cut this stuff up. These are all of the flowers that I processed at the studio a couple of days ago. I have been giving the roses a chance to open up a little bit more. This is not all for the one arrangement that I am showing you guys today. I am going to be working on multiple arrangements. So those two white ones are going to go with the order that I am showing you guys today. This black vase goes to a different home tomorrow. I also have to create this huge piece that goes on the client's kitchen island as well, so I'll be working on that. But yeah, so these are, again, the flowers. We've got a lot of variety here. We've got some glads. We obviously have some roses. We've got some hypericum, some seeded eucalyptus. These are lisianthus over here. These are absolutely gorgeous. Look at these outside petals here. Aren't those stunning? They're so pretty. We've got some mums, which always add just some nice texture. This is agonis. This is a really pretty type of greenery that I like to use. We have some dendrobium orchids down here. Those are pumpkin spice roses. Aren't they stunning? Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. We have some, this is curly willow, and then some alstroemeria as well. So we have a good little variety here to work with. By the time that I am done with all of these arrangements, the vast majority of these flowers should be used up. I always bring a little emergency bucket with me when I'm doing my deliveries, because if there's any breakage that happens prior to getting to the client, I like to be able to fix that. So I always like to leave at least 1 or 2 stems of whatever I am using in the arrangements that I'm delivering, so that I can fix any, like I said, breakage or whoopsie moments while I am in the delivery process. So anyway, there's your overlook at some of the things that we are going to be using today. And I'm lucky to have my little assistant as well. Right, buddy? You gonna help Mama? He's so sweet. This is the vessel that I am designing in today. You could definitely use chicken wire in the base of this and then fill it with water. You could also use clear tape to create a grid across the top as well. But again, for me, it's just easier to go with the Floral Oasis. So I did put a little bit of water here in the bottom. As your Oasis dries out, it's helpful to have some water in the base so that it continues to absorb water. So I just placed a full brick here in the middle, And then I'm going to take my rusty, trusty knife Gladys over here, and I am going to chop this piece in half so that I can fill in these parts of the vessel here. So this is just going to require a little bit of carving and squishing. You can squish this stuff a little bit. We'll do the same on the other side here. There we go. And then I might even break these and stick them back here as well. So that is going to be a good start for our arrangement here. And the next thing we're going to do is cover this in some Spanish moss. So this is dried Spanish moss. I really like to use this over top of the oasis to kind of fill some negative space here, and to also hide, obviously, our mechanics here a little bit more. So this stuff is fantastic because you can just kind of like pull it apart. When we first get it, it just comes in like a huge box. We go through quite a bit of this stuff at the studio for sure. And so you just kind of spread it out. A little ball of it typically goes a long way. And so you don't have to like completely obliterate the top. As you can see, we've got a couple holes here and there. We are going to use those holes to obviously plug in some flowers. And that's another thing I like about this Spanish moss, is it's pretty easy to manipulate and to get your stems past it so that your flowers drink properly. But that is the second step there. So next, let's move on to building out the base with the greenery of choice for this arrangement. My main greenery of choice is going to be Agonis for this particular project. It has a really beautiful kind of like chocolatey burgundy tone to it. I think it's going to look really pretty with the color palette. So I also like how if you can see those little curly tips on the leaves, I just think it's really sweet. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use this and just kind of build myself a little bit of a base. I like the arrangements to kind of spill out a little bit on the sides. So I am just going to go ahead and start using some of this here to build out my base. So the one other like hard and fast rule when it comes to Floral Oasis that I kind of already mentioned is that you do not have in and out privileges with Oasis. This is not a parking garage. Once you like insert a stem, and I would recommend inserting it nice and deep into the Oasis, leave it. Don't pull it out. Be purposeful with the insertion, if you will. You really don't want to create a bunch of holes. Your blooms aren't going to drink as well. So yeah, that's really, there's only two rules. Don't push on it when you're submerging it, and don't go in and out. So let's just kind of keep sticking some of this in here and creating a little wispy situation for the ends. By the way, I typically will design with clippers. These are just some cheap ones that I brought home. Honestly, my personal clippers they're in rough shape right now, so I just brought some new ones so that I'm not damaging the stems of anything. Anyway, I'm going to keep kind of building this out a little bit more, and then we're going to come back for the next step. Next, we're going to go ahead and insert our roses. So I have a few of these pumpkin spice roses here, And then we also have this white rose. Now, I don't remember the name of this one. I want to say maybe it's the Vendela rose, but don't quote me on that one. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start cutting these and inserting them. I always recommend cutting your stems at an angle so that your flowers have a greater surface area to drink from. Sometimes I like to make it even a little bit more dramatic. And then, like I said, you want to make sure that you are purposeful with where you are inserting everything, and you want to go deep into that oasis foam. So make sure that you leave your stems long enough. You can always trim more off. You can't put it back on. So yeah, let's just go ahead and insert these roses here really quickly. I am taking the greens off, and I'm just going to kind of place wherever I think these are going to look best. So I just did those in a little bit of a grouping here in the center, and then we've got the pumpkin spice that I am going to spread out just a little bit more. And because these were prepped in advance, I can now open these really, really gently, but they will also just continue to open on their own. So I'm just kind of going back and forth. This particular client likes the arrangements to be somewhat symmetrical. So that is why I am trying to keep this looking pretty symmetrical for the most part. And actually, I think I'm gonna I might insert 1 or 2 more roses. We'll see what I have left over, but we're gonna move on to the next element now. Next, I'm gonna go in with a few mums. When I buy the mums at the market, they come with these little protectors. I like to keep these on until I am ready to design. They just protect these petals a little bit better. So again, we're just going to cut our stems at an angle here, and we're just going to kind of sprinkle these throughout here. I just grabbed 3 for now. These again will open really nicely. So again, just kind of going back and forth here. Just helps me keep track of everything. And this one I might actually stick in the middle here. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, don't like that. So, shouldn't have done that. I am going to cut this stem again because it does have some of the oasis there. So I'm just going to do another little snip, and I'll add this one over on this side. And then I might grab, actually no. I think I'm going to leave it at 3. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Alstroemeria next, and let's insert that. This is Alstroemeria. You've probably seen this in a lot of arrangements. This particular type is called Champagne. This is a pretty hardy little bloom, so it's a nice one, and we utilize it quite a bit just because it really seems to last pretty well in arrangements. Also, there's just one sad looking little leaf there, so we're going to get rid of him. So I'm just going to grab a few of these, And any of the leaves that are kind of janky looking, or any blooms that aren't fully attached, I'm gonna get rid of those. And then we have this, and we're gonna go ahead and insert that into the oasis. And every time that I'm putting something in, oop, and there's a bee, of course there is. Every time that I'm inserting something, I'm making a little hole in that Spanish moss so that the flower can drink properly. So I'm gonna put in a couple more of the Alstroemeria, and then we'll move on to the next bloom. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add the Lisianthus. I really like the texture of these particular blooms. I like to leave these just a little bit longer so that they can really kind of be a feature in the arrangement. They're kind of nice coming out the ends. So let's put one in on both ends here. Again, making sure that you are getting right into that floral oasis. So we're starting to insert flowers at some different heights now. Gosh, these are so pretty. I think I want these in my house. All right, let's see here. I'm just gonna come around here and insert at an angle there. You over here. Here. Okay, I like this one. All right, let's put maybe a couple throughout the middle here as well. Just kind of adding a little bit of height. And if you see any blooms that are a little less than cooperative, just carefully snap those off. Find that oasis and insert. So here's perfect for the other side. I'm going to go ahead and remove the greenery here because it's going to get in the way. And let's stick this in there. All right. So we are definitely starting to look pretty full and lush. I want to move on to inserting the dendrobium at this point. So I have two longer dendrobium stems here. So these are really pretty. They're also kind of expensive. So we are going to make these a feature. Again, cut your stem at an angle. And we are going to use these to once again elongate this arrangement a little bit more. So make sure that you are getting that nice and deep in there. So we've got that spilling out the side on this left side, and let's do the same for the right side. Get that nice and deep in there. Oh, here I am not doing it right. Accidentally pulled this out, so let's stick this back in underneath. There we go. All right. I have two more textural elements I want to add. One of them being the hypericum berries. So I'm just going to grab a few of those stems, and I'm going to go ahead and insert those. I am going to take the greenery off, and we're just going to kind of sprinkle these throughout where we feel like we need a little bit more texture. I love these berries. They're super fun. Stick one here on the other side. Take that off. See a little hole over here. So let's stick that in there. Got a little hole over here. So let's stick this one in there. Lastly, I brought home these tropical leaves. These were actually left over from another project. I really liked how the back of the leaf mirrored the shade of the agonis, as well as some of the veining that you see in the lisianthus. These leaves are quite large. I'm not 100% sure about the scale here, but I think I might try to insert these underneath the agonis here just to act as a little backer. I don't know. We'll try it. We'll see what it looks like. Worst case scenario is I pull them out and I use them somewhere else. So let's go ahead and cut this stem here and then go in at an angle from underneath here. Okay, I kind of like that. So it's just kind of peeping out underneath. Yeah, let's do it. Got one more for the other side, so let's stick this one over here. All right, yeah, that did a really good job of elongating that. I like it. All right. I'm gonna do a quick overview here off camera, and if there's any tweaking, we'll come back and we'll do some tweaking. I went ahead and flipped the arrangement around so that I could get a look at the backside. I normally actually design with a Lazy Susan so that I can twirl the arrangement as many times as I need to make sure that I'm getting good coverage. But I left that at the office and I can't find my old one that I used to use at home. So anyway, I grabbed some more Hypericum berries because I really like the way these look, and I can just tuck these in some areas that I think need just a little bit of extra attention. So I feel like we have a little hole right here. So let's stick that down in there. I think I want to go in between the lisianthus and the alstroemeria here. Maybe one more right here. Perfect. So, even though this is going to be up against a wall, I always make sure that I design any of my arrangements to be two-sided if they need to be, so always pay attention to both sides. But now that I flip this, I think I want one more Hypericum berry over here, and then I think that might do it for this one. Let me grab this one last one here, and I will try to get this in some better lighting to show you guys without having the sun and background here, but okay, yeah, that's perfect. Love it. All right, let's do a final look here and wrap it up. Here is a final look at the arrangement. You can see how using that floral oasis makes it really easy to extend the arrangement far beyond the actual container, which you can see down here. There's my trusty assistant, Alf. I love these Lizzie amethysts. Aren't those just the prettiest? They're super delicate. And the dendrobium is obviously really beautiful. And these pumpkin spice roses. Love those. All right, so I am going to create 3 more very similar arrangements to complete this week's order for this particular client. And I'm gonna deliver these tomorrow. The very last thing that I'm going to do before I refrigerate the arrangements is spray them with some Crowning Glory. That way the blooms will get an extra little drink. But this is it.